Hey, this is Doc Eric. Welcome to my YouTube neighborhood, the channel where you get one mindset tip and one body set tip rolled into one video. We talk about many different things from fitness to nutrition, as well as health-related concepts. Today, what we're going to be doing is talking about some of the revelations about what it means to be a flexible dieter. So let's go ahead and jump in. So when we look at a term like the word diet, what we're looking at is something that has a defined start point, it has a defined end point. You're typically looking at macro tracking in some degree, and you're probably following some sort of a plan, whether that's paleo, whether that's keto, whether that's Atkins, whether that's zone, any of those things. When you're following a plan, it typically tends to be pretty rigid, eat this, don't eat that. When we look at the opposite end of things, when we look at flexible dieting, it kind of takes some of those concepts, but it broadens the road a little bit. So you have a little bit more wiggle room to play as you go through your nutritional journey. So let's jump in and talk about that. So the following are a list of a bunch of revelations that surround those who do a flexible dieting approach. So the first one we want to talk about is having the freedom to be able to enjoy whatever it is you want without beating yourself up over it. So if you feel right now like you need to have a slice of birthday cake or even eating the whole cake, you can go ahead and make that choice and eat it and not even have to worry about feeling guilty for it afterwards. Go ahead, I'll wait for you. The second point is food is readily available whenever you want it. So you don't have to deprive yourself or pretend that something doesn't exist on the face of the earth in order to ignore it, only to come back to it a little bit later that day or possibly that week and maybe overconsume. So this could be the individual that says, I'm not allowed to have peanut butter, it has too many calories, and they avoid it and they avoid it and they avoid it. And all of a sudden, when the willpower is minimal, they'll go ahead and they'll take a spoon and they'll get to the bottom of that jar. And then before they know it, they hate themselves and they're beating the crap out of themselves mentally, saying, oh my God. And then they try to out-exercise and over-exercise it, to burn off those calories. This is something that doesn't exist with the flexible dieter because that person says, I'm going to have a scoop of peanut butter. I'm going to put it in my smoothie. I'm going to put a little extra glob on my breakfast toast in the morning. That person says, hey, I can have peanut butter. They enjoy it and then they're able to move on. The third thing is no more binge eating and no more bulimia. We just talked about that a little bit in the sense that when you eat something and you have it in small micro doses throughout a week or throughout a month or whenever you feel like you're craving for it, it sets you up for success rather than the person that deprives themselves of a specific food item for a long period of time only to overconsume it, when the willpower is low. The fourth thing about flexible dieting is you don't have to feel trapped or miserable when you make a food choice. If you feel like you're craving something sugary and you want to pour yourself a bowl of cereal, go ahead and have yourself that bowl of cereal, but just don't feel guilty for it afterwards. Eat it slowly, enjoy it, and then you can move on. The fifth point, and I think this is the one that's the most critical, is it's not the food choices that make you fat or overweight, it's the dosage. This is the total amount of calories that you consume on a daily basis, and if you exceed a total calorie limit, then that eventually will lead to weight gain, especially if there's no training element involved with it. So that's a big take home. A sixth option is that when you're doing flexible dieting, you have more food choices that are available to you. So these are the people that if they go out and eat a meal, they don't have to take their meal and kind of dissect and pick apart what's on the plate and saying, I'm not allowed to have this, I'm not allowed to have that, I wish I had more of this. The flexible dieter says, here's my meal for the day, I'm going to eat it, I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to continue to move on. A seventh thing, and this is more of a mindset thing, is that words truly do have meaning. So if you're somebody says, I can never eat this, I can never eat this, I can never eat that, that really hits on you and weighs you down mentally because now you're depriving yourself of an entire array of food choices that you probably really do enjoy. You're just having trouble with dosage versus just the food choice itself. Another thing with the flexible dieter is you don't have to worry about food choices with the term like last chance syndrome. So last chance syndrome is the person who will eat everything, like let's say it's a plate of cookies. This is a person that says, oh my God, I have to eat this entire plate of cookies because I had one, I might as well have all of them now. And this is typically seen in the rigid dieter who says, I can't. And then once the willpower is gone, they go ahead and they inhale that entire plate of cookies. So with last chance syndrome, obviously we know that that plate of cookies will still be there tomorrow if you don't choose to eat them all. So you can take that entire plate of cookies, have 2 or 3 or whatever you feel you need to have in terms of feeling satiated without that mental guilt of feeling like you need to clear the entire plate. They will still be there for you tomorrow. You can put them in the fridge, the freezer, wrap them up, and then dose them appropriately. Another thing too with the flexible dieter is they have a little bit more mental flexibility. So you can be rigid, for example, Monday through Friday, and on Saturday and Sunday you can build in a sweet treat. Or if you know that you're going to be attending an event at some point during that week, you can eat clean around those days, have the event day itself, enjoy it for what it is, and then go back on your program of clean eating and whatever fitness that you're throwing into the mix. Another thing that's going to set you up for success with flexible dieting is you want to be able to do this thing long term. Right? This is not something where you're going to be kind of rigid for years and years and years. If you're planning for a bodybuilding show or figure competition, sure, that makes sense. But once you're off and you're done with that thing, then the flexible dieting approach is a nice option. Another revelation is there's always going to be a give and take, and you also have to look at the term good enough. You never want to stress out or flip out over any little thing that comes your way, because it's just going to mentally beat you down over time. It's going to lead to binging and purging and bulimia and all those sorts of things, on program, off program, mountains of guilt, things like that. And the final point we want to make is quality of life definitely matters here. Whatever you're striving for, it's about the entire journey, so you might as well enjoy the ride. So there we have it. We gave you a couple of mindset tips and a couple of body set tips when it comes to the revelation of flexible dieting. I think it's a great approach. It gives you a wide array of freedom. It allows you to build in sweet treats when you need to without over analyzing things, without feeling guilty afterwards. It allows you to look at the dosage of a total food versus what you can eat. And in terms of the body set and the mindset tip, people who typically have a pulse on what they're eating through flexible dieting tend not to overeat, but what they do instead is they build in those sweet treats. They kind of account for those macros generally in the sense of saying, okay, well, that was a cookie. The cookie had some sugar. The cookie had some carbohydrates. It had a higher content of fat and minimal protein, so that they know later in the day they have to consume food sources that have a slightly higher amount of protein in terms of balancing out their day. So in the comment section below, don't forget to list some of the things that you do to help you stay on track with your flexible dieting, things that you've done in the past that maybe didn't work, so maybe some of the things that you're currently doing right now that have really kind of helped you turn these things around. And as always, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. I love getting new visitors to this channel. It helps me grow the channel. It also helps me answer more questions from you guys at home. So until next time, stay healthy.